Hi YouTube, it's Emma Vlogs. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, hi. It is Friday, August 30th, and I am officially 3 weeks postpartum, basically. So my daughter, she was born August 8th, 2019, which was a Thursday, at 11:13 p.m. So I'm going to tell you my labor and delivery story, which actually was very interesting. So my due date was August 13th, which was a Tuesday, and about a week or two before, my doctor thought my baby was going to be too big for me to deliver naturally if I went to 40 weeks, so she said that she was going to induce me. So she set my induction date for Wednesday, August 7th at 7 a.m., and I got a call Tuesday night saying that it was canceled. Because they didn't have any more rooms, because I guess a lot of women decided to go into labor. So they had to move it to Monday, August 12th, the day before my due date. Wednesday night, August 7th, I actually wound up going into labor naturally, which was the weirdest thing ever. I had a lot of what I assume would be like where period cramps would be. I never got cramps while having a period, so I didn't really know what they felt like, but I'm assuming that's what they would feel like. And they were very low. I thought contractions would have been higher up on your abdomen. So I honestly thought the pain I was feeling was like my pelvic bone shifting or getting ready for labor, kind of widening. So that's what I sort of thought it was. So that pain started around maybe like 6 or 7 p.m. and then I noticed like the pain would come and it would go, and then it would come and it would go, but then it started getting more frequent and coming and going. So my friend's mom, she's a nurse, and so I wound up FaceTiming her, and I was like, you know, what is this? I thought it was my pelvic bone shifting, like getting ready for labor. And she said, no honey, those are contractions, you're in labor. And I was like, oh, good. So I actually started tracking my contractions. I got this app. It's called Full Term. It has a little ultrasound picture. You can just start and stop your contractions and it will track them the whole way. I waited until I was 5 minutes apart, around 45 seconds lasting for a whole contraction for 2 hours. That was consistent. So then I said to Jimmy, my fiance, I was like, hey, I think you should start getting ready to go to the hospital. I've been contracting pretty consistently for the last 2 hours. He didn't believe I was in labor just because of how calm I was. So he was like, I will take a shower and then I'll start getting ready. Kind of just not believing it, thinking we were going to get sent home. While he was in the shower, I was like, okay, well, I heard exercise helps you dilate faster. So I went to go walk the dog, came back inside. He was done with the shower, getting ready, putting some sweats on. My hospital bag and his hospital bag were already in his car, ready to go. But the car seat and the camera bag were on the couch, and I said, do you want to grab those? And he was like, no, we'll be back later. I was like, okay, I'm not in the mood. Let's just go to the hospital. And so I was in early labor, they would call it. Anything before 4 centimeters is considered early labor. So I was in early labor. I got checked out. We had the ultrasound to check my amniotic fluid. Everything was there. My water hadn't broken. I was contracting now at every 3 minutes. After the ultrasound, I'm hooked up to the monitors. One tracked the baby's heart rate and then the contractions. And so I saw the contractions going up and down and up and down. And Jimmy was like, oh, are those Braxton Hicks? And the doctor's like, no, those are real contractions. And he was like, oh, so she's in labor. I was like, finally. So we got to the hospital around like 11:30. I wanted to wait until we got admitted officially to call my mom, because the hospital is like 40 minutes away from her. So I didn't want her to come and then us have to go home or me not be admitted. I started calling my mom around 12:15. Of course, when I'm in labor at the hospital calling her, she doesn't pick up. I'm calling her, I'm calling my sister, I'm thinking it's midnight, it's summer. My 16-year-old sister has to be awake. She was dead asleep. My mom was dead asleep. No one was picking up. I was freaking out. I was like, is my mom really gonna miss this? I started calling again around like 12:45. I finally get her to pick up, and she's like, wait, what's going on? And I was like, Mom, I'm in labor. I'm at the hospital. She's like, wait, are you joking? She thought I was kidding. I was like, yes, this is not a prank. I'm in labor. You just got admitted. She was like, okay, I'm just gonna hop in the shower. I'm like, Mom, don't rush. Labor is going to take a long time, which in fact it did. Someone had come in and checked my cervix, and I was, at the time, 4 centimeters dilated. We then get moved to a new room, and they're like, you're not in that much pain, but if we give you the epidural, we think you will dilate faster. So I was like, okay, I was gonna get an epidural anyway. I'm not in that much pain, but if you think it's gonna move this process along, that's fine. Epidural was fine. I had watched many YouTube videos on epidurals because I don't like surprises when it comes to things like that. So I definitely knew what I was getting into. So epidural didn't hurt at all. You just feel that initial pinch, which kind of would feel like a bee sting, and then everything else is fine. So I got my epidural, and I was still at 4 centimeters. They come in maybe like an hour or two later, check me again, I'm still at 4. The doctor wants to break my water, which she did. That was great, and I started to dilate, which was great. I eventually got to 7 centimeters. I don't know the time frame of me dilating per se. I had stayed at 7 centimeters for 5 hours, and I was having a lot of pain, and I had a lot of pain in my lower back and my butt. It honestly, I felt such the urge to push. It honestly felt like I had to poop, if we're being honest and real. And that was at 7, and I knew I couldn't push, but I had such the urge to push. And it's the hardest thing when your body wants to do something and you know you can't. They did another ultrasound to see what was going on with the baby. So she was looking up at the ceiling, and apparently babies do this thing called cardinal movements, and they're supposed to know to move their head and face down to come out. My baby didn't know to do that. And since my water had been broken so long ago, I actually caught an infection. I looked at the nurse and was like, I feel very warm, can you check my temperature? She didn't believe me. She was just like, okay, kind of brushing it off. I was hitting 99.9. They kept checking. I had gotten up to like 101.4 maybe. My baby's heart rate went up to like 180. And a normal fetal heart rate shouldn't go past like 160 while in labor. So that was also cause for concern. So the doctor came in kind of like weighing our options. She was like, we can wait another hour. And I was like, no, there's an infection. It's affecting her. It's affecting me. Even if I wait an hour, is it going to result in a C-section? And she was like, kind of beating around the bush, but I was like, I'm in so much pain and I'm getting worse, she's getting worse inside of me. If a C-section is just how it's gonna go, then let's just do it now, because I don't want to wait another hour, because I don't know what's gonna happen to her or me if we wait. I sign all these papers, which I don't even really remember signing because I was just in so much pain and so ready for her to come out of me. I was just signing them, and they're trying to tell me about the procedure. I was like, I've watched C-sections on YouTube, so I'm good. I know what happens. Just get her out. The dad is not allowed in the room when they're prepping you for surgery in the OR. It's very bright. It's very cold. You have to turn, and they have to lift you off of your hospital bed onto the operating table, which is very awkward, 9 months pregnant. And they lift the sheet up. They have to start numbing you, so they don't let the dad in until you're completely numb. They had a nurse by me to keep me calm. She was petting my head. She was telling me I was doing a good job, just keeping me sane, because I had already had 2 panic attacks during labor just because of pain. They had called Jimmy in. You have to have your arms out like this on 2 tables, basically. And they have the sheet in front of you. They started, and they had told me before I'm only supposed to feel pressure and tugging. So I had felt something sharp, and so I quickly jumped and said, I can feel that. Whatever that is, I can feel it, and it's sharp. So they said, let's just wait 5 or 10 minutes. So apparently I wasn't completely numb yet. We waited 5 to 10 minutes. They started. They were probably tugging at me for like maybe 20 minutes. And then they say, take a deep breath in, which, if you know, take a deep breath in, no good feeling happens after those words. I take a deep breath in, they pull her out. It's not really painful, it's just the weirdest feeling ever. She did not cry at first, which concerned me. And I was like, why isn't she crying? And just like seconds after I said that, I hear wailing. And I was like, oh, thank God. They have to clean her off a bit. And they showed her to me from behind the curtain. And that was probably the first time in my whole life that I've actually cried happy tears. And there she was, all purple and covered in gross stuff, but there she was. And then they took her to clean her off some more, weigh her, measure her, and wrap her up. And I'm getting stitched up on the table. I'm just worried about her. Jimmy goes to look at her. She did come out with a cone head because she was facing the wrong way and my uterus was contracting, and the way my canal is set up, it made her head a cone, which it's gone down. Her head is completely fine now, but it was ridiculous to see. So they let Jimmy hold her while I was getting patched up. Since I did have an infection, they took her straight to the NICU, and I got sent to a recovery room. So I don't know if this was just my hospital and how they did things, or if this is everything with a C-section, or I mean everybody with a C-section. But while in recovery, only the dad was allowed in, and of course Jimmy was in the NICU with her. And so I was alone, and I asked for my mom because my mom was still in the hospital, but they denied me my mom, which I thought was very weird. And they said I had to be in recovery until 2:30. It was around midnight at that point. And I said, I have to just sit here. So I just sat on my phone. I was getting pictures sent to me from Jimmy from the NICU of my daughter. I hadn't touched her. I hadn't held her. I did not get that golden hour skin-to-skin time that, you know, most mothers get, which really stunk. So around 2:30, I was wheeled to my postpartum room. And I immediately said, can I go to the NICU? Because of course I want to meet my daughter. They said, no, you have to rest and take a nap. And I was like, what do you mean I have to rest? Like, who in their right mind would rest after having a baby? Obviously I just want to make sure she's okay, and I just want to meet her in general. So they said a nurse will come back to get you, to bring you to the NICU. So I don't even take a nap. I'm just sitting in my bed, and obviously I can't get up. I just had open stomach surgery. And so I'm just waiting until a nurse comes. So around 4:30, a nurse comes to me with a wheelchair, well, two nurses, to come take me to the NICU because they're like, oh, your baby's hungry. And I'm like, okay, great. Well, I want to meet her anyway. So I finally get to go meet her. It was so great. Those were the hardest 4 hours, I can tell you, not being with her. And we did skin to skin, we did breastfeeding, which I got her to latch, which was my biggest worry. I did wind up laboring for 28 hours and then ending up in an emergency C-section, which was not ideal, but it was what was best in my situation. And now I have a perfect healthy baby. She came out 7 pounds 11 ounces. I just wanted to come on here and tell you my labor and delivery story, and if any of you guys out there are moms or expecting and you have questions of labor, delivery, pregnancy, just comment them down below. I would be happy to share my knowledge and my experience with you. I wasn't preparing for a C-section, so I didn't look up any post-op products or experiences, so it was all new to me. So if I can help any of you out there, that would be great. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.